that the presence of conflict is not a warning sign. The absence of conflict is a warning sign. And what I've found is if conflict is absent, it can feel like peace. And really, what it turns out to often be is when conflict isn't present, usually a lack of passion is also present, a lack of care, a lack of conviction, a lack of all the great things that make remarkable teams move and function well. You can't have that. Like if conflict isn't present, probably all the other good stuff that you need is not. So the presence of conflict is not a warning sign. The absence of it is. And so what I want to just walk through from thinking about some of the examples that you've shared is in our time together, just walk you through like four tips, four things that I've learned often the hard way, and some things that I'm seeing work to help create some breakthrough to move from an unhealthy level of conflict to actually trying to move it towards leveraging it as something that can be a healthy part of your team ecosystem and even your own leadership on that. So I'm going to give you four. Happy to kind of add here in a moment. Just put those in the notes if that's helpful for the note takers in the room and everything. But the first one that I want to share, the first tip is I want you to ruthlessly eliminate us versus them culture. This is the foundation to all four tips. I will just say, like the rest of them don't work without this one being your primary focus. We have to eliminate us first them culture. This is one of the most unhealthy things that I see with churches I consult with, to be honest. Like it's the biggest warning sign because you can hear it come up all the time from these conversations like, oh, well, they don't get us. They always do this. They're always late. The senior leadership team, they never talk to us. We never get informed. It's always too late before we find things. Like they're never happy to them, or yeah, they just don't get us and understand us. They don't value creativity. There is nobody set out to define the terms of them, but they use it as a way to communicate the disconnect of conflict that is being avoided. The problem is that doesn't get you anywhere. And it's actually the thing that can break the very unity that we have to have and fight for as ministry leaders. Of if it's a us versus them, we're not going to get anywhere. But if it's a us with them, we actually have a way to be able to take conflicting ideas and sharpen it to actually able to find the alignment that we all need in ministry. Um, Conflict can help us get there. You know that quote from Abraham Lincoln of the idea being of sharpening the axe, like that actually like the sometimes the most effective way to cut down a tree is first to sharpen the axe, not just spend more time hacking. Well, the same idea of sharpening an axe is like you don't sharpen an axe without friction, without cutting, without something sharp that can be used for positive things. And that's also what we can say from the things that we are also passionate about. The colors and the lights and the strategies, all those things. Those are good things. And so are the them that they have the them that have maybe thoughts or concerns or ideas that can easily be dismissed or get in the way of what we do when really it should not be an us versus those ideas. It should be us with the ministry leader fighting for the best solutions to be able to serve the people in our church well. So we have zero foundation to stand on if we have a us versus them culture. We have to eliminate us versus them culture, and that starts with eliminating us versus them language because we are all on the same team, even if you all are at some conflict with the them. The best way to start is to eliminate the them, us versus them language and culture. The second thing that I want you to focus on, though, the second tip is to focus on the win and the purpose. Once you've eliminated us versus them culture in a conflict situation, we actually have to focus not just away from something, but actually focus it towards something. And so the best place to focus from here is around focusing on things like this, the problem that we need to solve, the objective we're trying to accomplish, or the barriers that we need to overcome. We are focusing on the win and the purpose, not focusing on the person. Conflict often happens when it becomes about a person instead of a purpose. And as leaders, we have to be able to discern and find the right thing and discern in that moment. Is my conflict with this person? Or is it to align ourselves with our purpose and make sure we are fighting for the right things? And when we do that, it doesn't have to be as personal. Like I know none of us really enjoy getting conflicting feedback about something we've poured ourselves into for days, weeks, months, years. When you've been sitting in front of Photoshop, like I have before, for hours, and you lose all objectivity of is it even good or not? And you show it to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. I'll know it when I see it, or I don't like that color. They're seeing the one thing that they don't like and not the 99 things that are awesome about it. Like, not usually the moments where we give our best aligning, feedback back to them or anything like that. But when we can remove ourselves, the person and the preference, and focus on the purpose, that's where we can hold everything we have with open hands, and we can hold that purpose that we have along with the other people that we're getting to work with, and actually make sure that we know we are not fighting you, we are fighting for you on your behalf, and we want to work with you to help accomplish our goals together so that our purpose is aligned. I have just found personally for me that that is not easy. And that's probably not the default response that we often have in conflict moments. But if we can hold those things with open hands, we can be, um, so many of the conflict situations that we deal with will be so much healthier to work with and actually be invited. Luke and I were talking recently about uh, the creative process, even not just with other ministries, but within creative ministries, like within creative teams. To briefly share, like I was asking Luke about the SALT team. I'm like, hey, is everything sunshine and rainbows when you create conference every year? Is everything just like perfect? Like just the best idea always wins and it's just easy and you naturally get to that really quick? Like, it's like, no, it's not. Sometimes it's actually heated and intense. And we've had moments where it's like hard. And we have to call each other afterwards to say, hey, I wasn't mad at you. I'm just passionate about what we do and I care. And I'm like, that's incredible. I love that. In another conversation Luke and I were having, I was talking about a moment with, I was in a meeting talking about small group ministry, where all fun meetings start, right? And I was talking with when I was creative arts pastor, I had my communications director who had just been hired and had come out of a heavy toxic conflict church environment to move into our church and team. And me and the executive pastor talking about groups. It We were talking about it, and you could tell we were passionate, and we were getting in some conflict. He was wanting me to like do some things that were breaking some standards and values we were having around how we communicate well and how we give people a map, not a menu, and we don't overwhelm people with too much information. But he was passionate about just like, hey, I want to tell the world, I want to tell our whole community, I want to do more, 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 and it got like intense, and so even a little, maybe the volume got a little bit heated and you could hear it down the hall. That's another matter. But what basically at the end of the meeting, we went from like intense to like, hey Steve, I love you, man. Thanks for sharpening this conversation. Thanks for going at it with me. I love you. I'm for you, and we're gonna work through this together. And the new communications director was just looking back and forth. You could tell he was like bright red because he just has not had conflict modeled in that way that wasn't personal and wasn't leading to a kind of a toxic culture situation like that. So it was really fun to see and to model, but that didn't happen overnight, and that definitely didn't happen without if without creating a relationship of knowing that he knew I was for him and I knew he was for me. And that took time, that took investment, but it took us focusing on our purpose on that. So to do that, again, to recap the first one, can't do that without eliminating us first them culture. And you can't do it well without focusing on the win and the purpose. The third point I want to point you to is to ask more and talk less. Often in conflict situations, like we've talked about, the answer often feels like I need to tell them, I'll show them, let me explain it more. They need more clarity from me to be able to know that I'm right and they're wrong, is often what it feels like. My encouragement to you is that the leader with the most influence is usually the one that's asking the most questions and asking the best questions. We have to actually focus on asking more and talking less, and actually showing that curiosity can disarm defensiveness. So ask more and talk less. And three questions that I find myself asking a lot when it comes to these kind of situations we're talking about is this phrase, just help me understand. You've probably heard it before. You've hopefully said it before, but help me understand. That is a curious question to invite feedback and a posture to know, hey, I might not know the whole situation here. Please help me understand on that. Another question is, what are you seeing that I'm not? What are you seeing that I'm not? That's a good way, again, to invite conversation, to know that there's probably something I'm not getting here, but they also know that you're not getting it and you want to know. You're curious. The other question is, what would have to be true for this to work? When you're struggling with conflict around a solution, hey, what would have to be true for this to work? Ask more, talk less, find ways to find clarifying questions. And often I know in creative environments for me, I found the best way to find that something is not clear is to ask questions and invite feedback for them to discover it's not clear for them or for you. So have some questions in your arsenal. It honestly, like maybe it's just having a note in your phone that just have some good clarifying questions you can use. Some like we're talking about of what's the objective, what's the win, what's the problem we're trying to solve. Have those and use those as tools to be able to make sure that you're not fighting the wrong kind of conflict and trying to find healthy conflict and alignment through good questions. The last one that I would say, and this is largely not necessarily for outside ministries or leaders or pastors, but especially for us inside creative teams with volunteers, with other staff, is invite conflict when it's missing. We talked about before that the absence of conflict isn't the sign of a healthy team. The absence is not. The presence of it can actually be the sign of a really healthy team. But some of us, we actually need to do better of actually inviting conflict into our conversations, the healthy kind. So asking questions like, hey, what are we missing here? Is something going, if something goes wrong here, what might it be and how can we help avoid it? Or is there something distracting or confusing? Those are often questions I had to use if I was the one that had the idea or if I was the one that had the solution. I knew that people are going to be more likely to not share their concerns or conflict because they know that it was a personal idea of mine. So I have to disarm that by inviting conflict to let them know this isn't about me. This is about our purpose. So help me. Hey, give me feedback. Or is there another idea that we can explore that we need to give time to? Whatever it is, find ways to actually invite conflict into your process and do it in a way that reminds people this is not personal. This is not about me. So those four things, I think, in all kinds of creative situations and ministry situations, are all things that if we misalign our actions around, like we're going to probably not be the effective leaders and effective ministries that we want. We're not going to lead them in a way that aligns with our actual purpose. So we got to know how to navigate it. And hopefully those are some things that will help you just kind of reshape your view on it as you eliminate us for sim culture and as you focus on the win and purpose.